Welcome to Independence Nation on the Light of Life Network. As I said previously, we'd be following the developments that occur in Ferguson, Missouri, and there's been some developments here of late, the things that occurred considering the death of Michael Brown and the riots that are occurring there in Ferguson, Missouri. Now, according to the articles here, the police target media. They arrest and tear gas reporters at Ferguson protests. 2 reporters were detained at the Ferguson protests, and police behaved as soldiers with enemy combatants, journalists said. Outrage over the incident spilled into both the media and social networks. Wesley Lowery of the Washington Post and Ryan Riley of the Huffington Post told AP they were working in a fast food restaurant when special forces, meaning the police, entered the premises and started clearing them out. Riley tried to take a photo, and police demanded his ID, which he lawfully declined to provide. The officers detained him regardless, according to Huffington Post's official statement, for not packing up fast enough. So here we go again, where the police don't have a charge against someone, so they just make one up. And so now they're charging reporters with not packing up fast enough when they want them to move, and they're being hauled into the jail. Now, an Al Jazeera journalist was also attacked and tear gassed by police as he tried to film the protest. Both journalists tweeted about their arrest, detention, and subsequent release without charge. Now, apart from Riley and Lowery, a citizen journalist known under the nickname of Antonio French, has been jailed for 24 hours and charged with unlawful assembly. Now, as you can see here, the establishment journalists were let go because they have lawyers on hand and that can be dispatched and fight on behalf of them. But the citizen journalist gets detained for 24 hours and charged with unlawful assembly. Now, the protesters were outside the local police department demanding the release, according to witnesses, of this Antonio French. So he does have some supporters there on the grounds. Needless to say that 5 of them were arrested by the police for being outside of the Ferguson Police Department and basically being a supporter of Mr. French. So if you can get there and be a supporter of Antonio French by him being a citizen journalist, I'm sure he would very much appreciate that. But moving further here, because there are so many developments that have taken place, not only have the police been targeting the protesters and now targeting media with arrests and with tear gas, someone has stepped up, noticing that this is getting out of control, and it is the governor of Missouri. The article reads here, St. Louis County Police will no longer be involved in policing Ferguson. Now, the governor of Missouri will reportedly relieve St. Louis County law enforcement from policing the ongoing demonstrations in the town of Ferguson, paving the way for possible state or federal intervention. Representative William Lacey Clay, a Democrat from Missouri, told Bloomberg News on this morning, that Governor Jay Nixon, also a Democrat, had confirmed to him that county police will be pulled from their duties in Ferguson, where outrage continues to erupt following the officer-involved shooting and killing of Michael Brown, an 18-year-old unarmed teenager that occurred on Saturday. Now, on Wednesday evening, protests in Ferguson for the 4th straight day appeared to resemble a war zone when militarized police began firing tear gas and non-lethal ammunition into the streets towards private residences. 2 journalists, as we have already mentioned, one from Washington Post and another from Huffington Post, were briefly detained while on assignment. Now, the governor just called me. This is a quote here. The governor just called me, and he's on his way to St. Louis now to announce he's taking St. Louis County Police out of the situation, Representative Clay told Derek Wallbank, a reporter for Bloomberg, earlier Wednesday. According to Wallbank's Twitter account, Governor Nixon neglected to tell Representative Clay if state police or the Federal Bureau of Investigation would take control of the situation. The FBI has previously acknowledged that it is investigating Saturday's shooting death, and Representative Clay issued a statement on Monday with other members of Congress urging federal agents to expand their probe. So, thank God that someone has stepped forward, and now they're going to make sure that at least part of this nonsense is going away, as it's stated here, that they've been coming out with these war vehicles, basically patrolling the streets, administering tear gas, arresting reporters who don't pack up quick enough, which is not a charge. There is no charge for the reporters being on scene. They have the freedom of speech and the freedom of press, and like I said, this situation is getting out of hand, and it's a good thing that the governor of Missouri has stepped in and taken control of the situation. Now, earlier, the hacktivist group Anonymous had stated that if there was violence from the police on the protesters, on media, that they would get involved, and they have. The article reads here, Anonymous claimed they've identified the cop who killed Mike Brown in Ferguson. Now, the cop that they say had killed Mike Brown, the 18-year-old, unarmed, who had his hands in the air, surrendering, and was shot 8 times by Bryan P. Willman. The article reads here, a Twitter account associated with the hacktivist collective Anonymous suggested on this morning, that Bryan P. Willman is the name of the officer who killed Brown over the weekend. So, once again, the officer who killed Michael Brown, the 18-year-old unarmed young man who had hopefuls to go to college and would have began his college career on Monday, who was shot down over the weekend, was killed by Officer Bryan P. Willman. I'm Keith Pitts for Independence Nation. We'll continue to monitor the situation and bring you the latest and updates on that riot there in Ferguson and the whole situation in Ferguson, Missouri. Once again, I'm Keith Pitts, and I'll see you next time.